What's going on, Space Monkeys? Welcome to Political Fight Club. And if you're wondering why Robert Durden's hair looks like this, it's because I just conditioned it and I hadn't prepared an episode today, so I didn't think I was going to be doing anything. This is what it does when I condition it, and that's why I don't condition it that often. I'm getting a haircut soon, so if you guys want to make fun of me, yeah, go fuck yourselves. I don't really care. But you're going to be getting your news from Screech from Saved by the Bell this morning. So it's been a fucked up week. It's been a really bad week, guys. One of the worst weeks under the Biden administration. Not the worst, but certainly with the 3 or 4 or 5 big stories that have come out this week, we're finding out more and more that Joe Biden's administration is hardcore pressing for censorship of people that they disagree with. Anybody that goes against a CIA-driven narrative when it comes to COVID, vaccines, or, as we're finding out, war or pollution. Big oil companies destroying the Amazon rainforest. All of that stuff is being forced to the forefront, and the Biden administration is destroying the lives of numerous journalists and canceling tons of people on YouTube as well. This is not good, and it's been probably the worst week I can remember for censorship when it comes to free speech in this country. So let's go over these things briefly one by one. And I'm going to give you just like brief commentary. So first things first, the YouTube apocalypse. A lot of people are being censored on YouTube and they're having their channel shut down right now. That's why I had to remove my video about Julian Assange yesterday. I don't want to get shut down. And what they're doing right now is they're cracking down on fringe content that they say spreads misinformation about vaccines or, you know, COVID. Now, guys, remember, I'm a doctor. I'm on the chopping block too. And everything that I've done on this show, I always read to you guys from a journal article. I read to you guys meta-analyses. And I give you what I learned in terms of what I got in chiropractic school when I went to school for 9 years when I talked to you guys about vaccines. And in fact, I've been pretty pro-vaccine. I myself am vaccinated, and I try to educate people on the vaccines. But I'm against vaccine mandates because that's against bodily autonomy. Most doctors are, in fact, against vaccine mandates because you learn in school that you can't force people to put things inside their body that they don't want to. So if you believe that people should be forced to take the vaccines, you're just an authoritarian. If you're a lefty that thinks that we should do vaccine mandates, you're more like Stalin. That's okay. You know, if that's what you think we should be doing and is forcing people to put things inside their bodies, you know, whatever. Ken Klippenstein believes that. That little prick with the little prick thinks you guys should all get the little prick. Big surprise there. So, it's bad. Ron Placone has had his channel taken down. Mi Casa Su Casa Network with Nico House, they've gotten their stuff taken down as well. So this is not good. And it goes to show you that, you know, free speech is not alive and well under the Democrats. If anything, it's under attack more than it was under Trump. And I'll give you further evidence. We also had another big story drop, which I did coverage on and then had to take down. Julian Assange there was a CIA plot that went all the way to the top. The chiefs of staff and Mike Pompeo, who was head of the CIA at the time in 2017, they literally planned to kidnap Julian Assange from the Ecuadorian embassy. And then there were talks that they were going to assassinate him if they could pull that off. Michael Isikoff covered this in the Yahoo News article. So I recommend you read that. That's, of course, not surprising whatsoever. And if it doesn't get any worse than that, we have another thing that happened this morning that is, again, it's not so much free speech, but just it shows you exactly what the Biden administration and what the Trump administration admittedly would have done to people that challenge power. We found out that criminal rights lawyer, or environmental rights lawyer, excuse me, Steve Donziger, who we've covered on the show before numerous times, he was the guy that sued Chevron for spilling all of that oil in Ecuador and destroyed the Amazon rainforest all over the place and destroyed the farmland of over 30,000 farmers in Ecuador back in the day. Steve Donziger won the lawsuit against Chevron for $9.5 billion back in the day. And what ended up happening is Chevron did not pay it and instead just left the country and has been ever since smearing him and trying to destroy his life and his reputation so that they can get out of paying that $10 billion. Now, this goes so far as to they've made it so that the private law firm that works for Chevron, by the way, is the one prosecuting Steve Donziger instead of a federal prosecutor, which makes no sense whatsoever. A private law firm instead of a federal prosecutor, yeah, that's Chevron pulling strings to get their evil-ass, very powerful lawyers to destroy Steve Donziger's life. And then also, Lewis Kaplan was the judge involved with this, and if you guys remember, Lewis Kaplan is the dirtiest judge basically on the face of the planet. He's the Chevron judge. He's bought and paid for by Chevron. And also, if you remember correctly, when we were reading The Divide by Matt Taibbi, he was also involved with some shenanigans when he defended the idea that big corporations that collapse markets and collapse the financial systems like Lehman Brothers in '08, other financial institutions that do the same thing that Lehman Brothers did, that their board, the individuals on their board, should be able to use the funds made by their enormous financial institution to defend themselves in court. Lewis Kaplan agreed with that in that book. So he's one of the dirtiest fuckers on the planet, and he's the one overseeing this stuff and choosing the other lower judges to also help prosecute Donziger. So you've got the Chevron judge and the Chevron lawyers all going after Donziger, and he has now been on house arrest for over 2 years. And it was ruled earlier today, or earlier this week, that the UN said that him being on house arrest so long was unconstitutional and it was inhumane and that the United States had no reason to do so. So lo and behold, what do? Steve Donziger was sentenced to 6 months in prison this morning for contempt of court because he refused to turn over his laptop to authorities on the grounds that that violates his confidentiality agreement with the people that he works with as a lawyer. He can't turn over his files to the feds, or in this case, the private firms that are trying the case against him. So he was held in contempt of court, and he's going to get 6 months in prison. So, big picture here, guys. Look at how Biden's America is treating people that are telling the truth. People that are standing up to powerful companies that are destroying the planet. Standing up to the powerful who are invading countries and killing civilians left and right. I mean, that's Assange, but also Daniel Hale. He just got 45 months in prison for doing nothing other than blow the whistle on our drone program, killing 90% civilians. Tell me again, we're building back better. And I've been worried about this ever since the beginning. I read to you guys out loud in 3 different episodes that were like an hour long each, Biden's Orwellian plan to label activists and anti-capitalists in this country as terrorists. He's expanding the police state and the NSA spying. How is this any different than what Trump would have done? I would say it might even be worse. Because if Trump were trying to do it, he'd be doing it in such an overt, buffoonish way that people would actually be taking to the streets and fighting for their First Amendment rights if Trump were doing it. But Biden's like secretly sneaking this censorship through the back door. Which is why I always warn you guys, it's not necessarily better to just have a Democrat in there, because the Democrats get a lot of the same things done that the Republicans do, but since they're not so boisterous and obviously clownish, it puts everybody back to sleep and they get away with a lot of things that the Republicans never would have. I mean, Bill Clinton passed the crime bill. The crime bill could have never been passed by George Bush. So it takes a Democrat to pass these things a lot of the times. So it gets worse and worse for Biden. His approval rating is like 40% right now, a little above 40%, which is astoundingly low. It sounds like it looks more and more by the day that the Democrats are going to get absolutely annihilated in the midterms. And they should. They've done a terrible job. Terrible job. And who could have predicted that other than millions of burners who warned for a year as Bernie was running against Biden that this is exactly what was going to happen, and that the best way for you guys to get Trump again and to get fascism in this country was to elect Biden. God, I hate being right all the time on stuff like this. So it drives me crazy, but this was a terrible week for censorship. I have been having like panic attacks all week looking at what's happening to other YouTubers who talk about things that aren't simpatico with the CIA-driven narratives, whether it comes to COVID, vaccines, or war, or in Donziger's case, environmental pollution and huge companies trashing and destroying the lives of people that stand up to them to try to save the world, to try to keep us from catching the earth on fire. That's not what we do in this country. We don't do anything except for ruin the lives of heroes, and then try to make people who ruin the lives of heroes like Joe Biden look like heroes. Welcome to America, folks. So things are only going to get worse. I'm moving on to a different platform here pretty soon. I'm on the horn with people at Rockfin. You have to get approval. I'm hoping they'll approve me here so I can be on Rockfin. I'm also on Rumble now. And I'm trying to work with Odyssey, but I got to tell you that Odyssey does not, that's a very poor app. It's a very, very poor platform as far as I've been able to see, as far as like getting videos up and having a library that people can access. It's very, very confusing. So it looks like it might just be Rockfin and Rumble for me after this. So stay tuned. I'll let you know which ones I end up on, and I'll let you know if I do get approved for Rockfin. I'm not a huge channel, but, you know, the Fred Hampton leftists know who I am. Sabrina Salvati knows who I am. So if they just, like, look around on those channels, they can see that I've been on other channels, so hopefully they'll approve me soon. But I won't last long on YouTube. I'm a doctor, and I only read to you guys medical journals and give you my opinions based on 9 years worth of schooling, but they don't give a shit about that. They'd rather tell you to go listen to Ken Klippenstein, who wants everybody to get the vaccine mandate, even though he's a fucking idiot and has no medical training whatsoever. So they want you to get your information from a little prick who has a little prick who really wants you to go get that little prick. Big surprise there. So I'm not going to get any more episodes to you guys today. I have an art show with my wife. I will read to you guys Man's Search for Meaning tomorrow, if I can. I've been really sick the last 2 days. I think a lot of it has to do with stress. I've just been exhausted and dealing with, like, you know, sore throat and a headache for the last 2 days. And I think all of it has to do with just all the shit that's going on YouTube and watching a lot of these people like Donziger end up in prison for saving the rainforest. God, guys, if I wasn't constantly making jokes and laughing about this stuff, I'd honestly be crying about it. It's a sad, sad state of affairs in America right now, and we're on our way very quickly moving towards a techno-fascist state under Joe Biden, which will only be made worse under Donald Trump when he wins in 2024. So we'll just have to see how this all turns out, guys. I hope I don't get censored before I move on to another platform, but I'll keep you up to date. If I do get censored, I'll go on someone else's show and let you guys know where I'm going to be, and I'll be all over Twitter letting you guys know where I'm going to be. So keep fighting the good fight out there. I will keep putting up content to the best of my ability until they stop me. Love you guys. Talk to you later.